My name is Sonia Morgan, and I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. My story starts June of 1993. I was pregnant with my twins. I got a call from my father on one morning letting me know that my mother had passed away. I walked to the house. I grabbed my oldest son. He was about 7 years old at the time. And I grabbed him by the hand. We only lived a couple of blocks away, so I walked to my dad's house, and he was just really distraught. And that was the day that my mom passed away. And then later on in the evening, I went back home to my house. I was pregnant with my twins, but I went into labor that night. And the next day, my twins were born. So it was just a blessing and a curse. I lost my mother, and then the very next day, I was blessed with twins. So over the course of weeks, couple months, my dad was asking my sister and I to come to the house to clear up my mother's things. So by the time we got around to it, it was August of '93. So my sister and I, we go to the house and go upstairs to my parents' bedroom. I go first to my mother's closet. I open it up and start taking stuff out. She had a box of just junk magazines and stuff. And I find a little baby book in the box, and I just, how you flip through a book, sometimes you don't open it to the very beginning. I was just flipping through it like, oh, look how cute this is. And then I opened to the beginning page, and it says, Evelyn, August 31st, 1965. And that's my birthday. And so I just started crying. I look at my sister. She's red in the face. She doesn't really say anything, but I knew she knew. My dad comes upstairs. He's crying. So that was the day I found out I was adopted. My dad was just like, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. I didn't want to lose you. So I just ran home. I was renting an apartment or a house next door, so I just ran home the next, and just cried for the next few days. So my oldest sister, she's an adoptee. My parents never talked about it, never told me about it. The way she found out she was adopted, and I don't want to go too much into her story because that is her story. I believe either her mother or her grandmother, they were ill and passed away. So she was around 18, so she found out that she was adopted. And I, at that time, was probably around 10. So my parents never had a conversation about it, nothing. So my sister was the one that told me. And the other indicator, my sister and I, we look nothing alike. I look more closely like my adoptive parents. My sister, very light-skinned, beautiful woman, but very light-skinned. We look nothing alike. So when I found this book, it was crushing, soul crushing. Like, why didn't you just tell me? And it just, it was horrible. My dad and I had only a few conversations. He said he didn't have very much information to give me because it was a closed adoption. This was 1965. So closed adoption, that was pretty common thing. He knew very little information, and the information that I believe he was told was wrong. They told him that my biological mother was a student, which I later found out was incorrect. But we had maybe 1 or 2 conversations and nothing, because he just would continuously say, I didn't want to lose you. Those were his words. So my father passed away June of 2012. Yeah, so he's been gone for a while. So June is just a month for me. I lost my mother in June. I lost my father in June. My twins were born in June. And I found out, that I was adopted, not in June, but it was just, I wrote to St. Joseph's Hospital. That's where I was born. Pen and paper, 1993, 94, just sent it off in the mail and trying to get some information. And I did get a reply letter back saying, yes, indeed, you were born here, but we can't give you any information. Your records were sealed, and but the records that we did have, they were destroyed in a fire or something like that. So I just, and I hung on to that letter for a long time, and I just, this is before the internet was really what it is now. And I just kind of kept that information close to my chest. I didn't talk about it to anyone. And just, I had 3 kids. So I just stuffed it down and didn't talk about it. But not until like 2018, I just said, I have to know. I have to know. So my daughter actually bought me the Ancestry DNA kit. I don't know if it was my birthday or Mother's Day or something, doesn't matter. So I took it and got the results back. Didn't really do anything with it. I, logged on to the site, and I had a few hits of people, but I didn't know, I didn't know any of these people. I sent out a couple messages, and I just put it to the side. Nobody was responding to my messages. And then 2020 rolls around. Pandemic, everybody's in the house. I got turned on to Clubhouse, one of these apps that, you can, audio app, and you can talk to people. And I don't know what made me type in adoption, but I typed in adoption, and all these different rooms came up, and I could go into these rooms and talk to different other adoptees, and I shared my story, and I just felt a little bit more comfortable. I felt like, okay, these people understand what I'm going through. So I did connect with someone through Facebook, IG, one of the sites, and they suggested that, you really should, if you're really serious about finding who your biological parents are, you should get a search angel. So that's what I did. I went on Facebook, and I think it was a search squad. I can't remember. There's a few different ones, and they're like a nonprofit. So this one woman, she seemed, nice enough. So I messaged her back on Facebook Messenger and exchanged my information. I let her know that I did the Ancestry DNA. And within probably a couple weeks, she was, with the information that I gave her, she was able to tell me who my biological mother was, and possibly who my biological father was. I wrote to the state of Pennsylvania to get my birth certificate, and because it was a closed adoption, I wasn't able to get my real birth certificate. It's what they call a non-certified birth certificate. So it had my name and my biological mother's name. So I let my search angel know, and so it was definite that this woman was my biological mother. So she gave me information. She wasn't able to find her, but she was able to find that my biological mother had siblings, and she was able to find one of her siblings is living in Williamsport. She gave me her name, address. So I wrote her a letter. I remember it was like a Tuesday. I mailed out the letter to my Aunt Margaret, and I had in the letter told her a little bit of my story, and I enclosed some photos. And that Thursday of that week, she called me. So that was 2021. So that's when I found my biological mother. I talked to her on the phone. I made arrangements to meet her in person. She lived she's still my biological mother. She lives in Tarboro, North Carolina. So I made arrangements to go to North Carolina to meet her. I met her August of 2022. And yeah, so we've been I met her. I spent a couple days with her. Turns out I have two sisters on my mother's side. So I've been keeping in contact with them ever since then. So that was 2022. I sent an identical letter to my father's sister back in 2021, 2022, and she never responded. And I was able to find her on Facebook, so I sent her a Facebook message. She never replied. Not until this past January, I think it was like the 16th or so, my biological father's sister, she reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I'm your Aunt Rosie. I'm your father's sister." So all of that just kind of happened just recently. So she gave me her phone number. She said, "Call me." So I called her. She's like, "So you know you have a brother?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know that. And you have two sisters also." So since January, I've been in contact with my biological brother. I have two biological sisters on my father's side. We're not full siblings, but we're still related. I haven't met my biological father in person, but I did talk to him probably a couple weeks after my initial phone call with my aunt and my brother. So it's been a long road of, discovery and reunion and